Um, hi everyone. Thank you for joining the session this afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Karen Jacobs. I'm an imaging scientist here at the University of Cape Town, and part of the ABIC Executive Committee. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the first in what will be a series of online seminars that we're calling Community Connect, with the intention that we can offer informative and interesting sessions for the community around topics that they can gain training or insight around imaging technology and opportunities with, as well as connect with each other and with expert speakers. So we are very fortunate to have this afternoon as our first speaker for this Community Connect series, Dr. Teng-Leong Chew, who is the director of the Advanced Imaging Center at the Howard Hughes Memorial Institute Janelia Research Campus in the US. Many of you will, I'm sure, be familiar with him, as he has been a long-standing supporter and advocate of ABIC. And in response to frequent requests from the community when we've asked what they would be interested in receiving sort of online training about, the most common request we've received, aside from confocal microscopy, is how to write applications for grants and other opportunities. So that is what we've invited Leong to speak with the community about this afternoon, specifically regarding opportunities around bioimaging for the African community. So Leong, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Karen. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, just fine.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. It's good to see quite a few familiar faces again. So I'm just going to share my screen. All right, so I think I've sort of given a similar talk related to how to write a proposal. I think that was maybe in response to one of the Army project. But we're going to dive in a little bit more, because today we actually have quite a few programs and events that we have data that we have collected to talk about how to do the current challenges that is facing a lot of the African applicants when they try to submit a proposal to various programs. So I thought, instead of sticking to the title, the original title, which is how to write a good proposal, we're going to change it to how to not submit an irrelevant proposal, because this is a recurring theme for a lot of programs, a lot of grants, a lot of conferences that have received applications from Africa, that we all seems to witness similar types of situation in proposal originating from Africa. So what I'm going to do is to sort of fashion this talk into with 5 case studies, and just so you guys can see the statistics and the mistakes that African applicants commonly make when they are trying to submit a proposal. And then the other thing is there's going to be a lot of sort of group exercise. So I'm going to violate a very important rules that all of you have been told when you are writing, when you are making a PowerPoint presentation, is not to have a lot of text in your presentation. I'm going to purposely break that rule because I want everybody to read the program description or the review criteria of various grants or imaging centers or conferences, and then we are going to do this project together, putting yourself in the position of the organizer or the program officer, and see how you would react if this is your own program. Okay, so we're going to start with the very first case studies, and this is actually a case studies coming from ABIC itself. So most of you probably are aware that recently ABIC has this SWIFT award that basically is to support transcontinental mobility. The idea is to support international travel within Africa for African scientists for the purposes of carrying out microscopy experiment in other imaging centers in Africa, especially outside of their country. And so we have this award that ABIG was very happy and very excited to announce. It was, I believe, funded by Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. Unfortunately, when they get the results back or the applications back, the organizer were very disappointed. And because 50% of the application do not adhere to the page limit, only 50% of the application adhere to the two-page limit. The rest just keep going on and on and on without paying attention to the page limit. And obviously, if you look at the previous slide, this is for carrying out microscopy experiment, right? And 17% of the application has no imaging motivation in it. Only a third of them even focus on microscopy. The other one, if we try really, really hard to be extremely forgiving, they are semi-okay, or even then is very, very poor. The other thing, if you look at the announcement, this is to support travel, African scientists to travel from their own country to other countries to do microscopy experiment. Half of the application do not have travel motivation, so that immediately disqualify them from this grant. Even for those that have travel motivation, only 33% of them say that they're going to go to another country to do their work. The other 69% just did not pay any attention, and most of them are, I'm sorry, so 69% of them are okay, 1/3 of them are basically just domestic travel, again, disqualifying them from being awarded this grant. And then if you look at the application content of the work, the applications that have come in, 58% of them do not have appropriate scope of work. It is usually way too big. Instead of a few weeks of visitation, that could be, months, if not years of work. And 75%, 3/4 of the application do not cap the information to the necessary or requested. So they basically cut and paste their previous grant and then just dump it in. And so also a third of them do not have imaging work. So this is case study number 1, basically showing that a lot of the applicants do not pay attention to what the program calls for. They don't even understand what is the spirit of this Swift Mobility Award, and they just randomly apply without reading the instruction very well. So that's case study number 1. Now we go to case study number 2. And I hope that most of you are also familiar with the Africa Microscopy Initiative Imaging Center, right? So this is open in late 2022, and it is modeled after the Janelia Advanced Imaging Center, which is to make microscopes, advanced microscopes, exclusively available to African scientists. There is no other scientists from any other regions that are eligible for the use of this imaging center. So the Army Imaging Center also cover, if your project is accepted, it will cover your travel, your lodging, the cost of your experiment. You get to come to University of Cape Town at this Army Imaging Center. You can stay at the imaging center for a month, 6 weeks, give your project enough time to mature so that it has time to develop into something that is potentially very high impact project, right? And basically, they have also encouraged any interested party who is planning on submitting an application to talk to the Army staff. All right, so let's look at the statistics of the application. 12 applicants did not read the instruction, so they just randomly submit something. So the majority of the applications that come in, 2/3 are inappropriate, off target, do not require microscopes, scope is too big, didn't follow the instruction. not feasible or requesting microscope that is not available at the imaging center, right? All sorts of stuff. So like I said before, 12 of them did not read the instruction. 4 of them, it's not understandable, so we have no idea what they wrote. 4 of them, the scales are way too big, exceeding the time available for them to do their work at the imaging center. The scope exceeded microscopy, so some people may want to do genomic study, they want to do compound screening, all sorts of stuff that has nothing to do with microscope. There are 5 of them that has no clear biological aims or objective. Some of them are not feasible at the Army Imaging Center, or the use of microscopy are not even rationalized. So these are applications submitted to an imaging center. So if your project does not even rationalize or justify why you need a microscope, that is not suitable, and that is clearly an off-target application, right? Similarly, case study number 3. This is now the Advanced Imaging Center at Janelia campus in the United States. So many of you know that I've fought very, very hard to introduce Army, to work with ABIC, to continue to make all this very advanced microscopy technology available, especially to African scientists who need it. Now, granted, not every African scientist have a project that will require very, very advanced microscopes. That is fine, but the idea is that for whoever needs it, these are available, and also the opportunity is free, right? So after 8-9 years of having only one single proposal coming from Africa, because of ABIC, because of the launch of the Africa Microscopy Initiative, we are very, very excited because there are more and more and more applications coming from Africa, which is precisely what we want, and that's what we have been fighting for a while. Unfortunately, when you look at the proposals, we continue to have similar problems. So this is where the massive amount of text begin. And so let's look at the instruction on the left column, right? So you have to submit a proposal. Again, applicants are strongly encouraged to contact the AIC, just like the Army Imaging Center. And all the proposal must adhere to the following format, right? And you have to have a scientific narrative that is basically your scientific project. And it has to be limited to 1,000 words and 3 figures. You have to have an abstract, specific aims, preliminary data, if you have those, justification for the use of AIC instrument. Why do you need the AIC instrument? Your experimental design, what is your experimental objective? What is your research project central question? What is your hypothesis? And how are your experiments designed to really challenge those hypotheses, right? And then the data quantification strategies, how you're going to quantify the data. And all of this, like I said, we will help through a technical consultation for free. And in fact, most people will talk to us sometimes for hours on end for their project, so that the AIC team can guide them through how to write a successful proposal, right? And then you have to attach a bio sketch. If you're a postdoc or graduate students, yeah, your group leader will have to write a letter of recommendation. And then we talk about the proposal review. There will be a 2-tier review. And here is the review. Here are the review criteria, right? Does the proposal have a potential to yield novel and significant information? Does answering the experimental question require the use of the AIC instrument, or it can be addressed commercially using available imaging technology elsewhere? Is the proposal well designed, sufficiently focused to be completed efficiently within a reasonable amount of time? All that stuff. And then the personnel, and then budget. Budget is not really that important because we cover everything. So if you are put yourself in the position of a review panel sitting at the AIC, this is basically what you will be reviewing, right? If a proposal come in with a project, you need to look at the specific aims, the preliminary data, whether or not they justify the use of the AIC instrument, their experimental design, and the data quantification. So as a reviewer, This is what you will be reviewing, right? Make sense? 2 out of the 4 African proposals coming in this round does not even contain a project. So they just fill out a form and completed the application process without a project. As soon as you don't have a project, that is administratively rejected because we cannot review a proposal that has no project. So 50% of the African proposal is immediately administratively rejected, right? And one of them, and so this is a screenshot of an application form. Basically, you have a proposal title, what instruments do you like to use, and all the specimen details, and so on and so forth. So we're going to go through that step by step. First of all, so this is a real screenshot. This is a proposal title, Advance Imagine. What is that? So people submit a proposal without even going through a spell check, without double checking whether or not the proposal title, just the title itself, even make any sense. This makes no sense. And here is an example, the specimen name and type. So we give you some example. Are you using with Drosophila? Are you using zebrafish? Are you using HeLa cells? Tell us what is your specimen. So this guy basically just say this is Drosophila because it is in an example. So list all the recombinant DNA to be used, and along with the transfection protocol. If you are using a retrovirus, adenovirus expression vector, you need to let us know. So we give you example again. LifeAct GFP, are you using transient transfection with lipofectamine? Are you using replica incompetent HIV virus? Are you using stable expression using lentiviral transfection? We're just giving you example. This guy doesn't know what it is, so he just randomly pick as if this is a multiple choice question. So he pick one and he put it in. Same here. What is your fluorophore? Are you using GFP, Alexa 594, MEOS, whatever, or Alexa 488? What is your fluorophore? These are just example. He has no idea what it is, so he just again treating it like a multiple choice question. So he pick one and dump it in. Same here. What is the sample growth media? He just randomly pick one and put it in. So all this could have been fixed if he has contacted us. So when you are filling out an application form, none of those things are a multiple choice questions. You really, really need to know what you're applying. And here are the 5 microscopes that Janelia has, right? That is available to the outside world. These are 5 instruments available at the AIC. And I counted yesterday on our website, there are 6 different places where we basically say we are very eager to help, we are excited to help, we are happy to help. Please talk to us. In fact, here we even say technical consultation with the AIC team is strongly recommended. Most African applicants do not contact us. So it's very easy. You fill out your name, your email, your subject, type in a message. You can even say, hey, very interested in using a microscope, don't know which one I should choose. We would have contacted you within 24 hours. So most African applicants do not contact us. So one of the 4, so another 25% is also rejected because they pick an instrument that is not available at the AIC. So immediately before the review panel even met, 75% of the application from Africa, 3 out of 4, have been automatically administratively rejected. They will not see the light of the day because they have been administratively rejected. So we have to start thinking about how we can avoid problem like this. So we have to stop that, right? So 1 out of 4 African proposal request a microscope that is not on the AIC list. So that was case study number 4. Now let's do a case study of case study number 3. So this is now case study number 4. So this is a conference that will happen at the end of this coming weekend that is jointly organized by me, by Karen, and also Lenel Malacrida from Uruguay. So basically this is a 3-continent trilateral meeting between the United States, Africa, and Latin America. And the title of the conference is called Microscopy Technology Dissemination to Underserved Communities. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the description of the conference. And I would like you guys to read it very, very carefully. And I'm going to show you 3 abstracts that are submitted. And I want all of you to actually type in your preferred abstract if you are the organizer. If you were either me or Karen or Leonel Malacrida, and you can only accept 1 out of 3, okay? So here is the Janelia conference description. Again, the title is Microscopy Technology Dissemination to Underserved Community. And I'm going to read it with you. As microscopy gains acceptance as an indispensable tool in life sciences, the equitable dissemination of this highly resource-intensive technology remains a challenge, particularly in resource-constrained scientific communities. While there are many individual solutions featuring cost-effective hardware, open source software, and capacity building and training programs, there is no concerted strategy to integrate these efforts into a coherent approach. This unique conference will explore the challenges, solutions, and opportunities in microscopy dissemination. It is not meant as a platform to discuss state-of-the-art imaging technologies, but rather aims to bring together developers of easy-to-disseminate hardware, software, and imaging probes, as well as representatives from global imaging organizations, microscopy initiative, funders, industry partners, and open access imaging centers. Joined by end users of microscopy technologies from international and domestic underserved scientific communities, presentations and discussion will focus on how to integrate common goals into unified strategies to bring imaging technologies to a broader range of communities. So this is the description of the conference. So I'm going to show you abstract 1, 2, and 3. And then at the end of the 3rd abstract, I would like everybody who is in attendance to actually type in the abstract number, just 1, 2, or 3, the only one abstract that you will accept into this conference, okay? So abstract number 1. Autophagy is a cellular process that degrades unwanted cellular material. It plays a role in the host defense against Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the bacterium that causes TB. Despite being an ancient bacterial disease, TB still causes many deaths worldwide. To find new treatments for TB, researchers are studying the interaction between the host and the pathogens and developing host-directed anti-TB therapies. When macrophages are infected with TB, the pathogen is enclosed in the phagocytomes, which should lead to its degradation in the lysosome. However, TB can damage the phagocytomes and move into the cytosol, which should trigger autophagy. It is unclear whether this translocation to the cytosol is time-dependent and how it correlates with autophagic targeting. The activity of the autophagy machinery in TB-infected macrophage are characterized over 72 hours using different methods. Our results show that THP1 and raw 264-7 macrophages display distinct patterns in autophagy turnover and activity, which are dependent on both time and infection. Through immunofluorescence imaging of LC3B and P62 in bacteria containing macrophages, as well as bacterial enumeration, 48 hours was identified as a time point with the highest autophagy turnover. Furthermore, the use of correlative light and electron microscopic imaging of TB provided evidence of the different compartments occupied by this mycobacterium at 4 and 48 hours post-infection. So this is abstract number 1. Now we're going to go to abstract number 2. At a time when advanced microscopy is a key yet inaccessible technology for biomedical research, this presentation highlights the transformative dissemination approach of appropriate open source microscopy technology. This approach empowers local communities by enabling them to tailor technology to their unique environmental and research needs, fostering a more egalitarian scientific landscape. A technology is appropriate when it aligns with local, cultural, and economic conditions, and we advocate for open hardware designs that are locally fabricable and adaptable. These present a paradigm shift from traditional dependency on imported equipment that is difficult to get, maintain, and modify according to local needs. Highlighting examples from my country, it demonstrates how a focus on 3D printing and standard available parts minimizes the need for specialized imports and facilitates quick maintenance and local methods innovation. This approach not only enhances access to advanced microscopy, but also enables scientific novelty and self-reliance in diverse settings. By fostering a culture of local innovation and adaptability, the presentation argues for a more inclusive and sustainable model of global scientific technology dissemination. It challenges the existing narrative of equating resource costs with scientific quality, proposing that effective and creative scientific endeavors can be achieved with less financial input through sustainable technology platform. This talk calls for a collective reevaluation of how we develop and share technologies in science and prioritizing open, adaptable solutions that empower communities to lead and innovate in their scientific pursuit. So that is abstract 2. This is abstract number 3. Spinal cord injury is a devastating community health issue that occurs with high incidence in young adults. Current therapeutic strategies for spinal cord injury include surgery, decompression, and physiotherapy. Given that there is no gold standard treatment for spinal cord injury, new therapeutic strategies with neuroregenerative and neuroprotective prosperity are required. Our past results reveal that adipose tissue-derived mesenchymal stromal cells laden with hydrogels could provide a potential solution for the regeneration of the spinal cord. Further improvement required decreasing the inflammatory process at the site of the injury to promote regeneration. Quercetin has been found to possess anti-inflammation, antioxidant, and free radical scavenging properties, which are responsible for the prevention of oxidative stress-related diseases, such as neurodegenerative disorders. Many in vitro studies have revealed the role of quercetin in increased neuron survival. So you have read all 3 abstracts. This, again, coming back just to jog your memory, this is the Janelia conference. You are one of the organizers. You can only accept one of the 3 abstracts that you have just read. Which one will you choose? So put in your chat box. Maybe either Precious or Karen can tell me the final scores. We'll give everybody maybe 10-15 seconds. And either Karen or Precious can unmute and tell everybody the score.
It looks like a tally of 10, 10 votes for abstract number 2 and 1 vote for abstract number 1.
Okay. All right. So people who voted for abstract number 2 make the right choice. Bear in mind, read this very, when you're reading this whole description, these sentences have to jump out at you. This unique conference will explore the challenges, solutions, and opportunities in microscopy dissemination. Every program will tell you what the focus of that program is. It could be a conference, it could be an imaging center, it could be a travel grant, it could be a financial support for your research, whatever. Every single program will tell you what their focus is, what they are interested in supporting, what they are interested in attracting. In this conference, what we are interested in attracting are abstract that explore the challenges, solutions, and opportunities in microscopy dissemination. So the presentation and discussion will focus on how to integrate common goals into unified strategies to bring imaging technologies to a broader range of communities. So out of that 3 abstracts, only abstract 2 focus on this. Unfortunately, abstract 1 and 3 that talk about autophagy and tuberculosis did not focus on that. And abstract 1 and abstract 3 came from Africa. Abstract 2, the one that was accepted, came from South America, from Chile. So here highlights the problem. You have got to read and read and read and read and read again what that program is trying to attract. If you don't do that, your project, your application will be rejected so quickly that it will never see a chance at all. A lot of time in a bigger program, the person who is going to reject it is not even the scientist. It is sometimes a program coordinator, someone like Precious, for example, just not to put her on the spot. They will very quickly read through it and say, wow, this is not even related, reject. This one doesn't even have a project, reject. This one go past 2-page limit, reject. Your science will never be reviewed by the reviewer. So focus on what the program asks you to do. Very, very important. So that is one case studies. If you are not sure, email, contact, Zoom with the program officer, with the organizer. Don't be shy. I'm going to share an email with you. All right. So this is a real email. I kind of, redact the name and everything. So I basically say, hey, how are you doing? I just saw that the software is part of the conference you're organizing. And I was always interested in the topics of dissemination. So this guy knows exactly what we're looking for, right? Specifically to underserved scientific communities. I built up collaborations in Brazil with Brazils in my time as a group leader, and would actually love to somehow get back on track with this, with my position here. Do you think I could have an active role in this conference? I could talk about our common project, my experiences, and how I think what could be done on the software side, for example. And I will also take a note for, of course. This is how people make sure that their application is favorably reviewed. You always reach out to the program and say, hey, I think you may be interested, but this is what I would hope to be able to present. What do you think? Can you give me some advice? Reach out to people. It is very, very, don't guess, never guess. Reach out and talk to people. Everybody in every website just say, we are happy to chat. We strongly encourage you to reach out to us. How many times have I said that in the past 15 minutes? Reach out to the program officer. They are always happy to talk to you because, look, if you're in my shoes, you're in the shoes of Karen, you're in the shoes of Lionel Malacrida. We want people with the right kind of input to enrich the conference that we're organizing. Of course, we want to talk to you, right? So talk to us. Now, case study number 5. This is a free 2-week microscopy bootcamp at Janelia, right? So this is a very, very extensive bootcamp, twice the scales of Imaging Africa. Some of you may have attended it. So everything is free. We will basically highlight AIC built instruments as well as commercially available instrument. It go from single molecule all the way to zebrafish. So basically from nanometer to millimeter. It's a 2-week bootcamp. Again, this is a microscopy bootcamp at Janelia. The title basically say optical imaging across biological length scale, right? So that's the title. I was very, very excited. You have no idea how happy I was when I finally, on the last day of the deadline, we closed the application for the first time in history, probably, that Africa beat out Europe in terms of the number of applications. I was jumping up and down. The AIC team was jumping up and down. It's like, yes, our outreach program is working. We're so happy. We now finally get the attention of the African community. This is awesome. And 2 days after the deadline, I was actually giving a talk at Oxford. I actually put this slide up and tell everybody to continue to focus on Africa. We have got to reach out more. This is the effect when you really do an honest effort trying to reach out to Africa. We have got to do more. We have got to do more. I was very, very excited. And before I left for Oxford, I told my team to start, okay, you have to start screening while I'm gone to trim the application down, because we're definitely not going to read every single application, because we have 381 applications from 48 countries. So this is now prime time. We're on a competitive stage on a global scale, right? So as you saw on the previous slide, 21% of the submitted application came from Africa. This is awesome. Love it. When I came back, my team basically pulled me aside and said, Leong, I don't think you're gonna like it. 68% of the application have been excluded during the initial screening were from Africa. I was like, how is that even possible? I want to read every single one of them. We went through all of them. I realized that I could not rescue a single Africa application that have been rejected in the initial screening, because they're off target. Some of them did not complete the application. Some of them submit an application that has nothing to do with microscopy. Basically the same symptoms that you have witnessed in the past 10, 15 minutes, right? So right away, the majority of the African applicants are completely just wiped out automatically by the software. And that left behind just a handful, unfortunately. So this is when we start to really, really look at every single application from all over the world. And so we ask the questions is like, how often do you use Eriscan? How often do you use structural illumination microscope, STAT, super resolution microscope, expansion microscopy, light sheet microscopy? So we ask you to self-evaluate. Do you use any of this instrument? Never, rarely means a few times a year or less, occasionally a few times a month, frequently, every week, right? So when I start to unmask each and every instrument, the bluer the color, the more supposedly the more expert the applicant would be, right? So let's go through the results together. The very first one, Eriscan. I basically purposely present the statistics this way because I want to show you what happened. So we basically, the top line is always the African application. The bottom line is the rest of the world. So for pixel reassignment, Eriscan, Africa rate themselves higher than the rest of the world. Okay. Structural illumination, super resolution microscope. Africa again beats the whole world. Seriously? Fine. The STAT microscope, almost comparable to the rest of the world. Localization, super resolution. This is the only one where Africa applications don't think that they are more expert than the rest of the world. Expansion microscopy. Africa again is better experts than the world. The last one just blew my mind. Light sheet microscopy. More than half of the African applications say that they use light sheet microscope occasionally, if not frequently, significantly more than applicants outside of Africa. I have been heavily involved in ABIC, in Army, and doing a lot of instrument landscaping. So I actually know the microscopy landscape in Africa. We have been struggling to get wide field microscope or even simple bright field microscope into various parts of the world, right? And this community has been talking and talking about how Africa does not have enough microscope. These are extremely advanced microscopy technique. I do not know how Africa applicants think that they are more better experts than the rest of the world. I really wish this is the case, but let's face it, we all know that is not the case. So there are only 2 or 3 possibilities. One is people don't even know what these are, so they're again guessing. They are treating this like a multiple choice question. B, people are inflating their score, hoping that if they inflate their score, they will be selected. right? Or various combination of the above. That is not how you write, how you submit an application. People at the other end actually know the landscape. So you have got to be honest. If you don't know, say you don't know. Or again, call up the program and say, hey, you guys asked me to rate all these things. I don't even know what they are. Fine. And at the end, one of the African applicants that we accepted is the one that answered truthfully and say that I only know a few things, the rest I don't know. I don't even know what they are, never heard of it. Fine. We actually, that is the kind of applicants we're interested in supporting because they actually just might learn something, right? So be honest, be truthful, and if you don't know, just say you don't know. Don't treat it like a random multiple choice questions. Again, this is something that somebody, again, reach out to us. This is actually an expert in the field. He is a core facility director in Europe. I'm a country I cannot say in public, but it's a country in Europe. Basically, he is not sure how to submit the best proposal for this particular workshop. So he reached out, say, hey, Dr. Chew, recently I learned that Janelia offers a course on imaging across biological length scale, which is a wonderful opportunity to see and test a comprehensive set of instruments. This chance will be very useful for us here for further development of our instrument portfolio and for shaping our teaching program. As one of the course directors, I suppose you have a lot of experience in rating the applicants. I was wondering whether you could give me a few tips for preparing an application, which I hope can increase my chances to be accepted to the course. Thanks a lot, blah, blah, blah. We have not received a single inquiry from Africa. We received at least 10, 15 of such emails during the time when the application was open. And that immediately put the Africa applicants in a disadvantage. People who are knowledgeable are actually reaching out to trying to improve their application further, while people in Africa who are less knowledgeable and can use the most help put themselves in a severe disadvantage by not reaching out to the program, right? So double jeopardy in that case. So you guys have got to avoid this problem. So if I were to give you an advice, is that submitting a scientific application or proposal is not buying a lottery ticket. You cannot leave it to chance. You absolutely cannot leave it to chance. And in fact, if you are not ready, if you're not sure, it is better that you don't apply. And in fact, this is not a discouragement, but I want to show you an email coming from a very, very big lab, a very big name in the field, from Cornell University. And this is an email addressed to the entire AIC team for the AIC visitor program, right? Now, this is not a training program. They want to come to the AIC to use the instrument. So we sat down with them, we guide them through the process, basically show them exactly what kind of probe, what kind of quantification they need for their experiment. And this is their email. So I want to thank you all for spending so much time with us and providing us with a wealth of information and guidance to quantify our experimental readout. After our discussion, my team and I agree that FRET is probably not the best approach. This is our advice to them. And we have decided to switch approach per your advice. To do this well, I do think we need to first retool how we could get comparable levels of TCR, CARs, and major histocompatibly complex expression of our CD4, CD8 double positive cells. I very much appreciate your encouragement for us to apply and aim for conditional acceptance. We even encourage them to say, feel free to continue to do your preliminary work. When you submit your proposal, if your science is good, we'll still accept you, but on the condition that you have to get all these things done. This is their response. However, we feel a lot more confident with getting a reliable outcome if we give ourselves a bit more time to acquire the necessary preliminary data, which will also make our proposal stronger. So we have decided to postpone our submission. Please do keep us posted when the next call will be. We will absolutely submit a proposal then. This is the kind of discipline, this is the kind of self-awareness and self-evaluation that everybody needs. Is can you submit the best proposal to a program? If you don't think you can do the best job, next round is better, then wait for the next round. And this is the kind of self-restraint that even a very big name in the field will exercise, will demonstrate, because they just don't think that they can submit a competitive proposal at a time. So nobody will leave things like this to a chance. You do the best you can, you give it your best strategy, right? So big mistake. The title of this program sounds awesome. Let's apply. We see this all the time. Don't do this. Let's just submit something and see if I will be lucky enough to get accepted. You are playing a lottery. Don't do that. I have no idea what they're asking for in the application form. I'm just going to guess. Again, you're playing lottery. I don't have time to write a proposal, so I'm just going to attach my previous grant. Don't do that. You're not addressing the essence of what the program is trying to support, right? I don't want to bother the program officers. They're probably very busy and won't talk to me anyway. They will always only talk to the big names. I don't want to bother them. I'm going to be ignored anyway. Bad idea. Absolutely bad idea. We are all here to help, especially a program officer. Now, let me give you a very important perspective. And I don't think many of you have ever really think about it this way. If I'm a program officer, let's say a Chan Zuckerberg Initiative or a Gates Foundation, blah, 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 I'm hired by this foundation to give money away. That is my job. I may have a budget of 5 million, I may have a budget of 10 million or whatever. I am hired to do one job and one job only, is to give away the money efficiently and effectively and accurately. And so that the money, the impact of that money can be maximized. That is my job. My job is to give away the money. The only way that I can ensure that I do my job well is to talk to people like yourself. The more you talk to me, the more guidance I can give you, the better your application will be, the more successful my job will be. So every single one of us are eager to talk to you. In fact, we are sometimes, you have heard this many times, we're begging to talk to you, but African applicants do not like to talk to program officers. That is a little bit of a cultural difference. You guys have got to overcome that and overcome it really, really fast. So good practices. Step one, read the call of the proposal or call for application. After you have read it, read it again. And ask yourself, what does the program or the call for application seek to support or seek to invite? Step two, ask if you can take advantage of the opportunity. Are you eligible, right? What would you do if you're successful? Give you an example. The SWIFT program, the very first case studies from ABIC, it is to support international travel within Africa, international travel, not within your country, international travel within Africa, so that you can go to another country to use a microscope to do a microscopy experiment. If you are going to submit a proposal, you have to ask yourself, what would you do if you're successful, right? Are you really going to travel? Do you have a microscope project? Is the country, let's say if you're in Ghana, you want to go to whatever, Egypt, whatever, random. Will that country actually have the microscope that you need? You have to imagine what success looked like. And is your plan aligned with the program? Step three, determine what the evaluation criteria is. Every conference, every program, every grant, every imaging center has evaluation criteria. If you're not sure, read the call for proposal again. After you have read it again. and contact the program to investigate, right? Step 4, understand what is being asked of you in the application. Do not select all the options. Please do not randomly select. Do not cut and paste examples like you have seen that guy did for the AIC. Do not pretend that you know, like you have seen on the self-evaluation of how expert you are in all the advanced imaging technique. If you're not sure, contact the program. You are sure? Contact the program anyway. Always, this step should never be skipped. This step should never be skipped. Even if you're very sure, there is no harm calling the program officer and say, hey, I'm going to submit this application now. This is what I plan to submit. Do you see any red flags? Or this is good for you? Ask. They are always willing to give you advice. You know what is the most important step in getting a successful proposal? Play an unfair game. If you want to play an unfair game, contact the program officer. This is how you're unfair to others. If you don't gain that unfair competitive edge, you will always fail, because if you don't play that game, somebody else is going to play that game. Contact the program. Always, always, always contact the program. All right, last step, tailor your application to the program. After you have gather all the information, you have to sit down and think how you can modify whatever you want to do to fit the program. You cannot expect the program to cater to you. Last step, this is just a summary. Before you even start writing anything, read and understand the essence of the program that you are applying to. After you've read it, read it again. I cannot stress how important reading is. And then think about how the program will benefit you. Do you have the appropriate justification to apply? If you're not sure, list all your questions, then talk to the program officer or the conference organizer. Investigate what they're looking for, present your case, and ask how you can improve it. Ask for advice. And then with all that information, you strategize. You print out the program and review criteria, right? Tailor your application to the program. Let me give you a visual imagination. Whenever you're applying something, if you don't have a copy of the program or anything print out next to you and really check off, I think I've addressed this point, I've addressed this point, I've addressed this point, you are doing it wrong. You've got to have a printout of that program next to you as you write, right? We all do that in the United States. We all do that in Europe. We all do that in Australia. We all do that in Japan. We all do that in Latin America. And it doesn't seem like people in Africa are doing it. I could be wrong, but print it out, check, highlight everything you need to address, check them off one by one as you address them. And if you have any advice from the program officer, you better follow them. All right, that's all I have. Thank you very much for listening. I'm gonna unshare now.
Yeah, thank you very much for that in-depth, actually, run through of guidance on how to prepare relevant applications for the many exciting opportunities that are available for researchers. We are coming up on the hour on the session, but I wonder we can open it up to the participants if there are any questions from them. We do have a few minutes to go. I think people can't easily unmute themselves, but I would encourage them to raise their hands or to put questions in the chat, and I will read out questions in the chat if people don't want to raise their hands and talk. Okay, I can see we've got 2 raised hands from Sunday and Emmanuel. So Sunday, you go first. So Sunday, you should be able to unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, Sunday.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Sincerely, I want to appreciate you, Leon, for this mind-blowing presentation. I can see some of my mistakes in some of my applications, and sincerely, I want to appreciate you for organizing, Karen for organizing this and also asking Leon to present. My two questions. One, is it possible you can share this PowerPoint with us? And the
Yes.
second thing is to make an appeal for my community in Nigeria. I'm a member of Anatomical Society of Nigeria. We are about 500 in that community. And majority of us who make use of microscope in our research also belong to this community. I don't know if it is possible if we discuss with the president of the association if you'll be available to do this online presentation to them for how to write a proposal at your leisure time so that to see a majority of us will learn a lot because I know majority of these communities send the application to some of these presentation, some of the applications you actually presented on today. That's my major challenge. I don't know if it is possible with you.
Yeah, you can
Thank you.
reach out to me. We can schedule a time. I'll be happy to help. Yes, you're absolutely right that every time there is any kind of proposal call, open calls, the majority of the proposals are from from Nigeria anyway. So yes, absolutely.
Thank
And
you so much.
Emmanuel,
Thank you
yeah,
so much. I will reach out.
yes,
Thank you.
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, you're up next. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Leon and Karen, to organize it. Yeah, just two considerations. One, for me, it was not so much brain blowing. I was expecting something like that because I'm living in Uganda since a while. And, it's always bad to do from Uganda to the world continent. But even our epic meetings, sometimes they go round and round and don't go to the end of the point and to organize something. So it's similar in something. But I would like to ask you if you think that some grant offices in the African Institute can help, because from where I come, I'm from University of Milano, from some other research institute in Italy. I applied and be part of grant proposal, and there is always in my institutes some person that really help a lot on grant proposal to check to understand if you are able to if it's the proposal right for you, if the program is right for you. And just a last consideration, do you think is about reading really, or is lack of knowledge of what you can do with imaging and what is imaging when you apply and you don't know what is a GFP, for example, or some?
I think it's a combination of the above. Like I said before, some of the candidates that we have accepted, especially in Imaging Africa, right? We have run 2 and more to come. I think there is a difference between knowing what you don't know versus not knowing what you don't know. And it's a skill, right? And successful candidates are not the one that know it all. That is not the one that a workshop will be interested in. I mean, if I'm running a workshop, why am I getting people who know everything? That's not the point of the workshop. The point of the workshop is to teach. But a successful candidate to any kind of a training program are those who actually know what they don't know. That I've heard this term before, but I don't know what it is. Those are the successful candidates. And I think it is very, very important to actually understand what your limitation is. Don't fake it. If you don't know, just say you don't know. Actually, when you don't know, saying you don't know will increase your chance.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes it could be the classical Dunning-Kruger effect that you think you know a lot of stuff, and in the reality you don't know.
Yes.
Instead, what do you think about grant offices? It's something that we invented in Europe, and they are not so useful, or they can help, like to help African institutes to understand what the proposal is asking.
Yeah, I think some of them is also a language issue, right? And so I think it is important that in many universities across the globe, there is a office for research that basically is just scaling, it's just landscaping or surveying what funding opportunities or what kind of program are available, and those officers actually know their researchers very well, and they can basically help pinpoint or help connect the researchers to the right grants. And I don't think that kind of service is broadly available in Africa. So it all depends. It all depends on an organization like ABIC or AMI or something similar like this, or Wambian, to help spread the word. And obviously, when ABIC or any such organization spread the word, it is just through Twitter, through newsletter, through email. Maybe one of the things that we can encourage the organizations to do is to maybe curate it a little bit, just a little bit, and say, hey, if you are interested in this, you can write, and these are things that they will be looking for. But at the end of the day, the motivation of reading it and understanding it and tailoring your message, it should be on the shoulder of the applicants, right?
Yeah.
And I think read and think and strategize is just important. Don't treat any of this thing like a lottery. Is my best advice, I think.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So we are 5 minutes over time. I would like to offer the opportunity for one last question, if anyone has it, and if Leong still has time.
I have a minute or two.
Okay. In the absence then of any hands raised and nothing in the chat, I'm going to wrap up then. So Leong, thank you very, very much for your time in preparing this material and talking with the community. Because a few people thanked me for organizing this. I did not organize this. Precious organized this. So thank you to Precious for organizing this and coordinating with Leong. I see a hand from Ame. Ame, if your question is short, otherwise I encourage you to email Leong.
Yeah,
directly.
I have a minute. Ame, keep it short and I'll answer it.
Cool.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you, Karen. I was wondering, what is the basic thing we should have before going to the officer? Sometimes you advise us to talk to people, as you said today. Yeah. Are we supposed to get something in the end before going to that officer?
Absolutely.
Something
so
like
you have to have compile a list of questions. It doesn't have to be extensive. You can just basically say, let me give you the most lack of agenda questions that I will be happy to entertain. If you have called me and say, Leong, I just saw your conference. I'm really, really very interested in applying, but I'm not sure I have anything to contribute. Can we chat? You notice that there is no information that you have just provided me. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
That is enough for a program officer to help you. I will be very, I as a program officer or as an organizer, I would say, hey, okay, fine, let's work together and see what we can come up with. What are you working on in Côte d'Ivoire? So I will start to pull information out of you and strategize with you to see whether or not there is something that you can submit. That is how low a bar you can approach a program officer.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yep.
With that insight, I'm going to close questions. Thank you once again, Leong. Thank you, Precious, for coordinating this and making this happen. Thank you to everyone joining today. Obviously, the session has been recorded and the recording will be shared through the ABIC YouTube channel. And Leong, did you say that you were willing to share your slides? Yes. Okay. So those will be shared with everyone as well. I'll look out for an email from Precious in the coming few days about that. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for your time, Leong.
Thank you everyone. Bye-bye.